Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Darien Dean, and I'm an independent soul singer, and we're about to get into it on Insight to See.
Started out as just a simple book you could use to self-affirm. But early that morning, the earth shook to show there's much more for us to learn. I know darkness may seem to engulf you, but just give it some more time. When you follow God's will, the truth is what you're gonna find. Don't give up, have courage and be strong. You'll have a new insight to see, and you'll know pure love is never wrong. Dare to be different, don't stop trying no matter what you do. Trust your destiny, believe in you. Hi, I'm Natalie Walker, and I'm so excited. I am here with Darien Dean, independent artist. How are you?
I'm great, Got some sunshine, as you can see, through all the windows and whatnot, so I'm in good spirits.
We're here at the place that he grew up.
Money earning Mount Vernon, indeed.
Yes, and we're May babies. We're going to get right into it. I ask all my guests this question. Ally McBeal might be before your time. I realize I'm old when I ask this question. She used to have theme songs that used to run through her head. Her therapist told her, you know, think of a theme song when you're feeling bad, whatever. Do you have a theme song that just runs through your head, or something that you say, this is the song I'm going to go to?
You know, I gotta say, it's different times of the day. I probably do have different theme songs. I mean, on a bad day, I might have Sanford & Son, you know, like the Junkyard Jump, like that might be my thing, you know, I might be feeling a little low with it, you know what I mean? Sometimes if I'm feeling real high with it, it might be the Superman theme song. There's many, many different things. I mean, I can't pinpoint it to one per se, you know what I mean? Okay. But yeah, definitely, I think everybody should have a little bit of music to follow behind them. It just makes things more pleasant.
I definitely feel you. Mine is Survivor.
Oh, okay.
That kind of just flows through.
Across the board.
That,
having dinner, I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
Go watching TV, I'm a survivor.
I mean, there's other songs that come, you know, they like play there, but Survivor pretty much stays there. It's just pretty much. But is there something that like you listen to that pumps you up when you're going on stage?
You know what? I mean, the first and foremost thing, it might sound kind of cliche, but the thing that probably pumps me up the most is probably a little bit of prayer. Like, that's what really gets me charged, because it reminds me where I'm going and what I'm here to do. So that's probably like the first thing that charges me up. I'm more so, the charge part is probably before, like when I'm getting dressed. You know, I might be listening to, some Stevie or something like that, you know, or to be real, like some Black Moon. Like, I'm like a hip-hop cat as well as a soul cat. So I listen to some of my, you know, I guess what some cats are called backpacker hip-hop to get me, like, charged, you know, like that stuff, like some Tribe Called Quest. That stuff just gets me in the right vibe, you know. But before the stage, it's usually just prayer. Prayer gets it.
There's nothing cliche about prayer. Everybody needs prayer. For anything, really. And I think that everybody should pray when they wake up.
Indeed.
Like you said, that music is your purpose.
Yeah.
And that you create knowing that you have a responsibility. Now, first of all, what gave you that consciousness to know that you have a responsibility? Because some people don't realize that they have that responsibility.
Well, I'll even go back before that. I'll go to the purpose part of it, right? You know, sometimes I think, like, you know, we look at what our destiny is and the things that we're supposed to be doing, and, you know, it's easy to get lost. Like, my next record is actually called Notes from the Journey, because this is a constant journey. Every day is a question.
Yes.
But I'm, like, things are reinforced every day for me to know that I'm on the right path. Like, I'll be, like, right at the edge where I'm like, man, I don't know if I should be doing this. And then something will come along and it'll tell me this is what you're supposed to do. And it's also the manner of the music and how it comes. You know, it's not something that like, I'm very humbled by the way it comes to me as far as the music. It's definitely a gift. Right. So I know that has to be purpose bound in that aspect. And then I'll go to even what's going on in, like, the political scene and things like that. We as spokesmen for music we have a massive impression that we can put upon the people. I mean, we have a massive audience, or even if you only speak to 2 people, you have an opportunity to really be in somebody's head for a while. Like, if they listen to your cut 3-4 times, I mean, that's 3 or 4 times your message is circulating in their mind. So when I think about that, and I think about, like, you know, just the opportunity I have an opportunity to speak something positive into somebody's life. That's a major responsibility.
I would like to just say to my audience and to you that that is true. A lot of times you may only have one person that you're speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
It may only be one person that you're speaking to,
right.
but that one person may speak to someone else.
This is true.
And they
Absolutely.
may speak to someone else. And you also have the chance to change the atmosphere. You may be, there's a, I wish I could remember her name, but in the Bible, there was a king's servant, and he was mighty and great. But he had one problem. He had leprosy. And he did all of this stuff, but he had leprosy. And he was living with this leprosy. And his wife's servant said, "Are you going to let your husband live with this leprosy? I know someone. Send him to Elijah. He can heal him." And she sent him to Elijah, and he got healed. And so this servant changed the atmosphere. They never named her. She was the maidservant in the Bible. And so this person who was no one, she never got named, but she changed the atmosphere. She changed his life and, changed a lot of things. So sometimes, you're just talking to one person. You may not be the person on stage, but you're encouraging that person. You may not be the one who has the big mouth, but you're encouraged. So I'm saying to everyone, you may not be the one who's on stage. You may not be the one, but you're pushing someone, and you keep pushing them, and whatever it is, you just keep being that positive force because it's important. You may change the atmosphere. You don't know what you're doing. So it's very important to remember that everything you say and do is really important.
Before people knew like things of going viral in nature on the internet, music was the original viral source. Like you would meet at the water cooler and talk about, yo, did you have so-and-so's album? Have you heard this? You talk about the messages. The music of our time, unfortunately, right now, that is at least commercially available, it doesn't seem to have the same focus, as far as those kind of messages. But that doesn't change the message. It shouldn't change the message, and for me it doesn't. Again, I'm not on a level where I'm speaking to millions of people at this point, but as you said, everything's exponential. It's one person tell the next person, constant, whatever. I mean, this interview, I don't know how many people are going to see this. I don't know who's going to see it, but it can go on to just like multiply in size. So that's, gotta keep in mind.
And you don't know who's going to see it.
Absolutely.
And there's 2 points I want to kind of make to that. First of all, you don't know who's going to see it. And you may think, people look, and I would say especially for people who are in music and entertainment, you look for someone who's the big person, who's the, oh, this person's doing that, this person's doing that. But sometimes it's the mailman, or it's the, who you are stepping over. I have a poem about it.
Here you go.
Sometimes it's the person who you're stepping over. And I have so many stories that I can tell you about that you're stepping over, that you think is just nothing. And you're so important people. There are no important people. We all are important. God says we're important, so we're all important. That's the first thing I was going to say. And the second thing I was going to say about music, now this is my thing. I have a really big problem with people using the N-word. Huge problem. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. I grew up in a town that was predominantly Caucasian. And it was, when you said that, we were fighting. That was just it. And we were young, it was the 80s or whatever. So, it was just, that was it. But most of the time, they didn't have enough nerve to say that to our face. They would say it and run, say it in cars, whatever, and ride away. So, they just didn't have enough. If they did, they got a beat down. That was just it. We all stuck together. Every black person, if you was fighting with a black person, they was your friend when it came to that. So I had this incident happen to me one time. And this made me not like this artist. And I really like this artist, but I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you now, it hurt my feelings. Anyway, I was in a shopping center and I was just walking across the street. And then I hear, N's want to try. N's one of this. N's one of this. Okay, I love this song. And I, whatever. And I'm like, okay, it made me uncomfortable because I know I'm in this town. It's like blaring, and I go by, and it's this car full of white boys. So I say to myself, now, did they play it just because I was walking across, and this is their way of saying this or whatever, or they just listening to music? And so I couldn't say anything. I couldn't get mad. I couldn't say, what are you doing? Whatever, because I didn't know. And I said, now, he gave them the right to play that. He gave them the right to use that and insult me. So I can be insulted or whatever. I just said, whatever. And I went into the store. But when we put that out there, we give people the right to do that. And that's with anything. I was talking to Eric in my last interview, and we were talking about when we do music, how once we do it, Carl had actually told him, Carl Thomas, told him, once you do a song, it's not yours anymore.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Once you do something, it's not yours anymore. It's gone. And so it is really important. Even with anything you do, you have to remember that it's not yours anymore. And people don't always take it the way that you may think that they take it. I have to remember that myself too.
I mean, the interesting thing about that word, though, for me, I mean, I'm a child of a mixed marriage, you know what I mean? So, you know, my father was white, he's deceased, but my father was white and my mother was black. So the word is very interesting because I remember the first time I heard it. I didn't even know what it meant. You know, I remember I was playing baseball, you know, I was a little kid playing baseball, and somebody said, you know, hit it to the end in the outfield, and I'm looking around like, what's that? You know, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But the thing about words is this, the power behind them.
Yeah.
After it was repeated like 2, 3, 4 times, it had a feeling to it. I never heard the word before. I didn't know what it meant, but it had such a venom to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing about the word. But what I wanted to say more so about the music was, it's kind of interesting today because I almost would appreciate that kind of song more so than some of the the messages that are out today that they get in your soul and you don't even realize, like when they're talking, like when we talk about this materialistic society, like it's very easy to place something on a word. Like you can say, oh, you know, N is in a song, then I'm not really trying to hear it. But these other songs are just as dangerous, if not more so, because what happens is that over time you're listening to them, and not one particular line of them is dangerous, but the thought process of the whole thing is dangerous. Right. And when you have every artist with the same thought process in that same way, that becomes like a problem, you know, and it's something that you won't even recognize until you start realizing that you place so much of a value on materials or so much of a value on, you know, a designer, this, that, whatever it is that's made you lose focus from the greater thing that's going on right now. There's a big thing going on. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but we can get into that. Like there's a greater architect of a puppetry kind of thing going on right now, and people are falling for it, and they're falling for it because it's brought across in all of our entertainment. That's why entertainment is so strong, because it can really change the minds of the people.
Right, about materialism, and it's not just the music part of it, but the video part of it, and the clothes part of it, and the whole magazine part of it. It's a whole thing, and I think that it's not even just material stuff. I think that we lose sight of the greater purpose.
Well,
we seem to lose sight of, you know, like life is not about just, you know, about that. I mean, there's more than life than just us.
Right.
You know, like I think people forget that, you know, I'm sorry, but God is in control. You can have whatever God you want, but God is in control, and He's bigger than us, and He controls all of this, and this is the reason, and the reason why there's so much stuff going on, I believe, is because we allow the enemy to control us.
Absolutely.
You know, I believe that, you know, Jesus came back and He gave us power, but we don't take it.
Well, again, everything is in balance. We can talk about materials because they're a part of life. That's truth. Like, I mean, people like designer clothes. I like some stuff that's like might have labels on it. I'm not mad. I think we were meant to have nice things, you know. Even in the Bible it said we're not meant to be like on the ground for everything. But without the balance, if we're not talking about, I mean, you know, I grew up on music that talked about all subjects, and it talked about it at any time of the day. It wasn't like the hip hop hour on this station, or like, you know, or the insightful moment on this station. It was like any time of the day it could flip from this to this, you know, and we'd have different artists talking about different things. That's the problem right now. That's the danger. I don't mean to totally critique the entire music industry, because to be real, I'm an artist. I'm just trying to do true. Yeah. But I'm an artist trying to get across my message. But in doing so, I'm constantly aware of the battle I'm going to have to get that message across because of the lines that have been set up. You know,
but it is about balance, and that's just in life in general. And I think that it's not just entertainment, but it comes off. Music is something, and entertainment was something that when there was a crash, entertainment was what lasted. The people would still go out and go to the clubs and stuff like that. Right. So it is what, you know, and everyone's always saying, does life imitate art? Does art imitate life? Right. And, you know, it's what lasts. Right. And so it's something that's always the constant. But there does have to be a balance. Absolutely. So I completely agree with you with that. Now I'm going to ask you a question about your fan. One thing that one of your fans did that stood out, that made you say, this is why I'm doing this, and I'm so glad I'm doing this, and I love this.
Wow. been countless situations where like I've been right, like I said, I've been right at the crossroad, and at the moment that I needed a message, I mean, because the thing about my Facebook or whatever, any way you reach out to me, whether it's Thought Process, my blog on thisisdarien.com, or Facebook or Twitter, whatever it is, we're like a two-man show, me and Miles. So it's not like I have a staff that's going to answer your emails. I'm not have nobody screens my stuff. You're talking directly to me. So it might be a moment when I wake up and I might have had a difficult time writing a song, or maybe something we put out there, I wanted it to make more noise, or I was hoping to get a gig that maybe didn't come, whatever it was. But without fail, I will always receive something, and I don't mean like a one-line message. It'll be like something definitive from someone that's like, I was listening to a song you wrote and it got me through this and that. That's the stuff that for me, like, it just, I can't even measure it. You know, it's like, seriously, I cannot measure it. And it takes me to, it lets me realize it's bigger than me. Like, I could possibly give up, but that's a bigger thing than me that I can't like let go. So
talk about My Door.
Okay.
It's about love.
It's about love.
Or you want to tell me?
Well, you know, a lot of my songs, again, I mean, I can't take full credit on writing a lot of my stuff, because really the way I get into my zone is when I get a track or something from somebody, or even if I'm playing with somebody, the first thing I do is press record, because whatever comes to my mind first is generally the song. I mean, I've with a few exceptions, but it's almost like I can't navigate the waters. You know, I can really just place myself in them, and the water's going to take me where I'm going. I just got to make sure it don't fall over or something.
Right.
But I find that a lot of my songs really have to deal with love, and also with God, to be real. You know, it's like, you know, in that particular song, you know, it's like basically when you knocked on my door, it was such a good feeling that I knew I wouldn't ask for anything more. It's kind of like I was in a stage during writing If These Walls Could Talk where I was really getting deeper into my spirituality, for real. Like you know, I've been through, I went to Catholic school as a kid. My whole family in Jamaica is Jehovah's Witness. I've gone to Baptist church with singer friends of mine, so I've experienced a lot of different things. And you know, those are religions, so it's not really so much that I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you actually find God and you find like your voice and how to speak. You know, I mean, I used to be like, you know, when you go to Catholic church, and I mean it's Catholic school, and not to be any way about Catholic school, they kind of taught me to fear God. I was scared. Like I was really scared of God. I was like, yo, God is someone who punishes you. Like as a child, I grew up like that. I was like, okay, I just sinned, I'm gonna be punished. You know. But as an adult, I realized that's not really the relationship we have. So now when I talk, I'm not like fearful. You know, when I'm praying, I'm not like fearful. I'm not like, Lord, I know I've been a terrible person. You know, it's not like that. It's more like, I'm gonna need some help today, because you know. So that's really, a lot of my songs end up for that purpose, I'm sure, for maybe to even preach to myself. That's how those songs end up coming about.
It's funny that you say that, because a lot of times when I hear people's love songs and stuff like that, for me, I'm like, okay, for me it's God. And I always relate love with God, and like I try to put all my relationships, like I always equate them with God, and like even the way I treat people, I try to think of like, you know, God, and I try to put him, and I'm not belittling God, but I always put God, like how I treat God, I try to think of how would I feel if my friend treated me this way, or if I did this, you know, something like that, because I try to put him on a human level so that I can, you know, relate to him more. And I try to, you know, so when I hear love songs, sometimes I'm like, I feel like it's a love song to God. Well, I think they should be, because God is love. Right. So, you know, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think that that's the way that it should be. And so I think you're telling me that was like a mix between a
lot of the songs end up like that, especially my new record. My new record is a lot, like, without even, I experienced a lot of loss between albums. I had some friends pass, you know, some love loss. There was just a lot of things that I was dealing with, and my goal has always been to try and write without like too much of a barrier between me and my fans, or between me and the music. It isn't really so much about the fans. It's like literally, when I wrote the title cut to If These Walls Could Talk, on If These Walls Could Talk, the first line of it is, you know, I lost my dad as a little boy. I kind of struggled at first when I wrote that line, because I was like, man, do I want people that have never heard of me from the gate to know that I lost my dad? But it's like one of the most important, well, it's one of the biggest moments of my life. You know, it's changed me in more ways than I even know. So how can I deny my music that? So I was like, I'm gonna have to do that, and that actually gave me the courage to start to write from a place where I didn't rethink lines that might give too much insight. You know, like I was like, man, this line might let people know my address. I might want to be careful. You know, but I decided. I said, you know, that's what it's about. My address tells part of my story. So that being the case, I can't edit it, but so much.
Right.
You know, the business side. Now this is the serious part of being an indie artist. Like, you know, is that well, there's a couple of things. I mean, on the business side, what I found as an independent artist, and I didn't really want to do this to begin with. You know, it's funny when I linked up with Miles, my manager, Miles Anthony. He has a passion for the business side of it. So we were like a really good match because he likes to make the connections and see how the dots go and boom, 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 boom. If it's me, I prefer to be in the studio. I always talk to him about the analogy of being a chef. Like, I'd love to stay in the kitchen and just make the food and, you know, have other people bring it to the people or however it is, you know. That would be my ideal thing. But as an independent artist, I have discovered and I realized that's just not possible. You do have to wear different hats, you know what I mean? Like, for instance, like, you know, I'm Indie Soul. We promoting everywhere we go. You know, Love Revolution. We constantly have to brand. You know what I mean? We have to do things to put together the brand. That even goes into the studio. Like, in order to like get things to a level that I wanted them to be at, I really had to study. Like, I had to say, all right, we don't have the kind of money to constantly be in the studio, but I need to output product constantly. You know what I mean? So what is the best thing for me to do? How can I get my visions across, you know, constantly without having to worry about like the blockage of a budget or things like that. So that's how that came to be. I mean, I have a love for technology too, so that really got me in the studio. I mean, I love chopping stuff up and doing what I got to do on the computer and whatnot. Well, you know, it's very interesting because it seemingly on a new material kind of schedule, I haven't released like a lot of stuff as of late. I've done a lot of collaborations. I did stuff with real people. I have a bunch of other things that I've been working on that are kind of on their way out or finished. But the new record, it just kept evolving, and you know, I'm kind of like other artists where it's like it's hard to let it go, but I'm glad because just like on If These Walls Could Talk, it's funny because some of the stronger cuts that really needed to be on there, and when I say strong, I mean from a message standpoint, they came right at the end when I thought the album was closed. You know, like a song like Gone, I had decided I wanted to leave my job, and that song literally, my album was done. I was like, oh, the album's done. And this track came in, and that was on my heart. This whole like I got to leave my job, but I hadn't done it yet. And it came in right at the right time, and I wrote that song. It's probably one of the fastest songs I wrote. And I finished it, and it was my theme music. As I would walk through, I had my resignation letter in my hand for a long time. I would go into work with it every day, and I literally would run that song, and it was my theme. That was my theme music at that point, you know.
I love that song.
I mean, and it was really like what was needed for me. So this album, Notes from the Journey, which I do have a title for it. It's really wild because again, I faced a lot of different things. One of my best friends, my boy Yver, who was actually in the collab, and he was one of my dancing boys, and also he was in my group, the collab. You know, he passed very sudden, unexpected. Like really took me out the game for a little bit, you know what I mean? And it happened right along at the time when a lot of major things were happening. Like we had just done 106 in Park. I had just won the Budweiser thing, so it was a really hard time. So the new album is really just about touching on all of these things, and once again continuing the story. I mean, If These Walls Could Talk was really like if you were a fly on the wall in my home or in my mind or whatever. Fly in my mind, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? If you were a fly on the wall in my house, this is the exact thing you would have heard. And I mean literally, like if you were up for the sessions that I was doing at 3 in the morning recording vocals, this is the honest picture that I'm painting of life, you know, that I know. And Notes from the Journey even goes a little bit deeper because, you know, there are a lot of topics on there that I don't think people necessarily touch on a lot. You know, I mean, I got stuff on there about unemployment. I mean, I'm trying to really go in and try and also, you know, I mean, the thing about soul music is you have to first and foremost make sure people enjoy the music. The message is important. I mean, it's extremely important. But if people don't dig it, like they don't dig the sound of it, they don't dig the vibe of the song, they're not gonna listen to it. You know? So first and foremost, there's a balance. Go back to the balance of making it very musical and pleasant, and also being responsible with content. So I think on Notes from the Journey, I've been really mindful of that. You know, and just trying to like basically share what's going on between these walls and now. So that's really where it's coming from.
I amazing, and in the midst of it all, we climb and we fall. I really appreciate That's unfortunate. And it helps me in times when I think that's what people do. I don't want to listen to music and just want to dance to it. But I don't want to have somebody else survive
things I don't want you to know. There's time for everything too. I mean, sometimes you just want to have like, I mean, you know, a lot of those songs back in the day, you know, do the funky chicken. I don't know that there's a deep social message in do the funky chicken. But, you know, the thing about it is do the funky chicken comes along with a whole bunch of other songs of the era that basically did have you think along with do the funky chicken. So we need to get a little balance.
Right. Yeah, I think that's where we're missing. I think we don't think. I think it's just everything is fluff. Really, you know, you do have your own plan. The message is going around, and just, you know, you have your own life. Take care of it. If you're an artist, you're an indie soul artist, take care of all your interests all the way around. Remember, your message is so important because you don't know who's going to hear it. And you may say one thing to one person, and you don't know what that's going to mean. I have a phone about that too. But I'm not going to say that. You ran out of time. But it's close. But I do have a phone about that, about, you know, and what you take in. But just remember what you say to people, what you take in to people, and basically is keep your focus on God and let you just hear yourself and hear God. Hear God though. Because don't just listen to yourself. Is there anything else that you want to say?
My main thing would be just to let you know, all my friends really see. And I have this funny thing with fans and friends. I don't make a distinction. You know what I mean? Like I don't, you know, fans or like home. I think I just look at everybody's friends because the way they treat me is I love the friendship. But I just want them to know that, like, you know, I greatly appreciate everything y'all do, all the messages and everything like that. I can't wait to share this with you. Please continue to just hit me up. You know, even just want some regular conversation. You know, hit me up on Facebook, Darien Online. Hit me on my blog. This is Darien.com. You can hit me. Trying to think. See, I'm not good with these things. You know, I got all these different pages, Twitter, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But just holler at your boy. And if you haven't heard If These Walls Could Talk, my last CD, definitely pick that up and look forward to Notes from the Journey. I can't wait to share it with y'all.
Beautiful thing. Thank you so much for watching Insight to See, and thank you.
Thank you.
Darien, thank you.
Fancying yourself a dancer.
I have had so much fun. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for watching us, and we'll see you again.
Fine.